Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast today is a very famous face I'm sure many of you will recognise. Today is with me is Sean Wilson, and Sean is a man who had a fantastic career in Coronation Street. He was in the show for around 20 years. He left Corrie in 2005, but he did go back briefly in 2018. But now Sean is a highly successful cheesemaker, and we're going to be finding out a little bit about that and his produce. Sean, it's really great to welcome you to the Godcast. How are you doing?
Very good, Alex. Really good. I'm loving the name, the Godcast.
Whereabouts are you? Where's home?
We're in lockdown. So my partner lives in Leicester. So we're in on the countryside side of Leicester. But home at the moment is Essex, about 50 yards from the sea.
Right. Very nice. So what took you down to Essex?
Manchester for me is a bit of a conundrum. I don't know why the Manchester people are the way they are, but sometimes they don't make my life very comfortable. So I went to Essex to spend some time there, and God, it was great. People were speaking to me. They were all ever so nice. There was no underlying behaviour, let's call it. I loved it, really loved it. And maybe I've been a little bit too patient with Manchester, 55 years. So I decided that maybe, just for me, Manchester wasn't the right place.
Do you know, that's quite controversial, Sean, because a lot of people would say that we're all friendly in the north, but, you know, I'm sure there's other people like yourself in Manchester that just want to get out, you know.
Well, to speak candidly, which is a little bit too soon to speak candidly, and I won't say too much, but Manchester has changed over the years, and not for the better, unfortunately. There's an underlying amount of people who like to do as they please, come what may. So I'm out of there.
All right. Yeah, so I spoke to a few people who kind of spoke to Dom Jolly, who tells a similar story about getting out of London and took himself off to Cheltenham, where he was seems to be very happy out there. But
you know, you need to find your own place, Alex, and. You know, I've spent all my life I wanted to keep other people happy, of course, and still do. But occasionally you've got to look within rather than keep wanting to serve other people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you, Sean, my daughter's gone back to school today, and she's preparing for a GCSE art coursework. And I noticed you've got a real passion for art. Where did that kind of emanate from?
Oh, well, same again at school. I had a very good school at Stamford High School in a place called Ashton-on-the-Lyne. And it was a fabulous school, and it was the place to be for somebody of my age at that time. I think that school has kind of broken up now, and they've become like a super school somewhere else. But I was very fortunate to be there because the art teachers, two of, were wonderful. And it turned out that I could take my my little drawings that I would do in my teenage years, like you would do, to my teacher, and she'd be like, "Oh, I think we have a talent here." And so she nurtured that. So when I was 14, I passed my O-level art. And then when I was 15, just coming up to my 16th birthday, I passed my A-level art.
Right.
At school. So we were very much encouraged, and clearly I responded to that encouragement. So 35 years go by, and 20 odd years in Coronation Street, and building your own business and everything else that goes with it. And my partner and I, we both love art. And so I decided to resurrect what I knew, and oh God, it's just going from strength to strength. It's great. Really, there's no one more surprised than me.
What's the joy that you get out of art, Sean? Is it the just the blank canvas and just starting from there, or is it the finished
Oh
article?
God, Alex, the world of art is many faceted. So I do oils now, and I do drawings now, and I do pastel painting now, and what else do we do? All kinds of different media. To begin with, you have to conjure with how you're going to present it, and then creatively, how are you going to present it? What are you looking for, and what's the outcome, and how can I get there? And so it's really good. And we have a picture there of. So I guess that's like an ode to my Essex residence, with a load of fish and shellfish there.
So you earn a living off the paintings now, do you?
Well, yes, I do sell prints, not on a super regular basis. More when I have a bit of time to spend on social media to try and make them available to people, which is less and less.
Yeah.
I'm in the studio too much.
Yeah. And about the cheese making, is that still big stuff for you?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it could be bigger, and I think in the cheese world, I wouldn't be upsetting anybody if I said that doors open for me a lot slower than other people. You would have thought it would have been the contrary, but the cheese world is it can be very lucrative. Not that's why I'm in there. I'm in there because I make artisan cheese, and I want people to still taste artisan Lancashire cheese like they used to do back in 1190 when it was first introduced. That's why I'm in it. But it's lucrative, so you find that people can be very well, I think you know what I'm going to say. The foot's behind the door because they don't want me to come and take a piece of their action. Everyone's very very guarded.
Right.
It's the modern world, Alex.
That's quite a surprise. You surprised me twice now in just 10 minutes. You wanted to go out of Manchester because you'd had enough, and the doors were difficult to open. I kind of thought, I was thinking,
no, they've always been difficult to open. 12 years.
Yeah,
it's not changed.
No, but now your
products. But nonetheless, my niche is there, and the people love the cheeses. Those that have become devoted followers love the cheeses, and that will always be, you know. And whenever I have interviews on national TV or whatever, I have lots of people very interested in what I have to tell them about the cheese world, which is many and varied, little anecdotes and stories and where it all came from, the history of British cheese, which is fascinating. So I do hold a key to the public, but of course you've got to get through the corporate world before you get to the public.
Yeah, I noticed on your website there was one or two slightly religious connotations there. You quote "Blessed are the cheesemakers," and then you describe yourself as truly blessed as you set out on your pilgrimage to bring cheese to the nation. Well,
that's my love of the English language.
Okay.
And of course, if you pick a theme in a sentence, I find that if you stick to that theme, then it will become decipherable. Yes.
Does it lead in any way to a religious upbringing? What was your upbringing like, Sean?
Well, my upbringing was suburbs, Manchester. Everybody had to have children, and if you didn't have children, then you were probably looked at askance and whispered about. So my parents had children, and they didn't really know how to bring them up, as most parents didn't. And it was that kind of world. But my grandparents were lovely people, and my grandmother used to be the female arcailer to a scout group. So she very much took interest in my life because she could supply me with things that I would find of interest.
Yeah.
Which were many and varied, and it was great. I had a lovely life with my grandmother and grandfather, and I thank them for a lot. So my grandmother was a Methodist. So as much as my life seemed poles apart from where my grandparents lived in a nice big house on the outskirts of Rochdale, I would visit them often from Ashton-under-Lyne. And occasionally I'd go to church with my grandma because there was nobody else in the house. And so I'd go with her. And then I joined a thing called the Lads Brigade in Ashton-under-Lyne. It's like a boys' brigade, but I think it's connected to the parish church, held by under Mr. Blanchard, Vicar Blanchard, he was called, the Reverend Blanchard, who was quite a character because he used to come to our school. We were a Church of England school, so there's another connection. And he came in to teach us religious studies, and his opening gambit, bear in mind this must have been like 1973 or something, was you will know me in future, children, as VVV. So we were all like, okay, explain. And he said, very violent vicar. So that was our opening to to the parish church. And if you were to speak in class, he would throw the duster over the classroom. So we became very good at dodging the old duster. But he actually, you know, he was a nice guy, and he didn't really know how to teach unruly children. And the part of the boys' brigade was part of your commitments were to go to the Whit walks, to represent your area of Ashton-under-Lyne, and to go to church once a month, which we did. And I wasn't against that. And that was held by Reverend Blanchard, of course. And, you know, you're in your formative years and you're forming ideas for yourself. And it was nice to hear the religious side, as well as all the other distractions that you would have as a suburban child. And it was something that kept constant throughout all those years, because once a month I would go. So once a month, it's like centering yourself again a little bit, you know? And then somebody told me, Alex, that if you join the choir, you get paid. So off to the choir I went, because I can sing a little. So I was in the choir, never got paid, but I was there about 4 years. I was thinking, wow. But I was spending time at the church, and I was spending time at coffee mornings, of course, after the service, and speaking to the local really nice people. And so that kind of stuck with me. Of course, left to go to secondary school, boys' brigade disappears, school happens, exams happen, walk straight into Coronation Street, kind of, long story short. All these years fly by. But Carol and I, we have a lovely church just maybe 200 yards from here. And we can be found there occasionally, and we do lots for the local village, and the village does a lot to help itself. And that kind of person is welcome in this village. So I fit in really quite well. And it's nice to come full circle and spend time around people who are like-minded and very much like the people in that congregation.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think there's something quite encouraging in that, because I get some people say to me, "Oh, why aren't the kids coming anymore?" Or, you know, and I think it's just part of life, isn't it? They come as kids, and then they go off and do their own thing. And you know, I've not been a church person all my life, but as a kid, I just remember church people being of a certain age, not usually younger people. And I think there's in there that what you get as a kid sometimes stays with you. And my hope is always that, as you have, you turn up at a church when you know, 40, 50, 60 or whatever. And I think that's really, really nice.
Yeah. Well, it is nice, but it also has, you know, maybe it's just me, but it does have the outcome is that it helps me center myself a little bit, because, you know, you don't have to be stressed up about it's something that happened yesterday, and you don't have to be whatever bothers you in life. One, shouldn't bother you so much, and two, when you're in that kind of environment, it just allows you to recenter yourself.
Yeah. And this creative side of you, Sean, it kind of, you got into Corrie quite a young age. Did you want to be an actor? Was that or did you want to be an artist, or did you want to be a chef, or what was the thoughts?
Yeah. So back to that back to my schooling days, a very good school, as I've already explained, and the drama teacher was an ex-actor himself, theatre actor, and we had a wonderful arts theatre, which could be morphed into like In the Round, or we could do proscenium. We could do so many things with it. It really was that had a lot of money spent on it, and he was a great teacher. And so I creative again. So the art side and the drama side was attracting me too, and I just enjoyed it. And then come GCSE time, we had an audition to do, which would possibly be the first time I'd ever auditioned for anything in front of a teacher with nobody else there, because we used to do it in class, of course. There was one single light coming down, and it's your GCSEs, and he's there to adjudicate. So I finished this piece by Ben Jonson from a play called Bingo, all about the life of Shakespeare himself. And nothing happened at the end when I finished it, so I expected him to at least approach me down the seating to explain that maybe, if I could send the next pupil in or something. And nothing happened. I had this bright light on me. I couldn't see anything. And so eventually he switched the light off, and he said, "Sean, that piece was unbelievable." And I was like, "What?" So he said, "Sean, the way that you've read that piece and the way you've undone what is being said in that prose is amazing." He said, "I have not." I said, "I'm a teacher. I see this every year, but I haven't seen it in this kind of form before. We need to chat." So long story short, I decided that maybe I should carry this through a little, because the art side, I could just do A level at 15. So I knew I could do it. But the drama side really attracted me, because it allowed me to be creative in a brand new way. And it allowed me I had this ability to be able to transpose what is written into something that was quite talented. So I went to the Oldham Theatre Workshop, which was really quite famous then.
Yes, remember.
Under the auspices of David Johnson, a strict but very creative and very good director. So off I go there, and then I was chosen to be one of the higher leads in one of his plays, and then I was the lead in another play. And just enjoying myself. I was invited to the Lyceum Players, which are in Oldham, and they are a Lyceum repertory company. All very, very dedicated actors, but bankers and teachers and grocers and you name it. And unbeknownst to me, I should have known, but no one had told me that the casting directors from Granada TV would occasionally, on the grapevine, hear about certain people, and they would come to watch anonymously. And one such director, Judy Hayfield, who was the casting director for Coronation Street, was following me. But of course, I didn't know. And then I was invited to go to Granada TV and took an audition for one of the characters, which didn't come off for me. But then they decided to place me in a series over at Yorkshire TV, which I did. And then I did a Crown Court at Granada TV. So again, they were watching me. And then eventually they came clean with the audition that I was successful with, which took me into Coronation Street. And then Judy, of course, said, "I've been following you for quite a while." So, and a lovely lady, and I have a lot to thank her for.
Yeah. And when that landed, Sean, can you remember how you felt? Were you kind of wow, or were you a bit like, whoa, this is a bit,
Well,
this is real?
Well, I kind of gotten my teeth into the profession of acting, and wanted it to be a career, with lots to learn in front of me, but lots of exciting, hopefully exciting times in front of me. And next minute, it was exciting on probably the biggest stage that a TV actor could be on.
Yeah.
So,
was it?
yeah, walking into the green room with, Bill Roach and Julie Goodyear in her pomp, and Barbara Knox and Thelma Barlow and Helen Worth and Jean Alexander, of course.
Yeah.
Was daunting. Of course, it was daunting.
Yeah.
But they're only people.
Yeah.
They're only like me and you.
Yeah. Did you get a decent contract, or was it a short-term one to begin with? I've heard stories where it's
Yeah, it was shorter term than a ride on the fun fair. Oh yeah, we had a producer who obviously had his mind on bigger, on keeping the nation pleased with what they're seeing on Coronation Street. He wasn't really concerned with me having just joined. So it took about maybe 2 to maybe 3 years before he became fully aware of me. And then there were possibilities opening for the character. But I think it wasn't Bill Podmore whose eye was taken with me. It was more the writers. It's like the writers really are in charge of Coronation Street. And they saw something in me. And then I think at storyline meetings, it was like, I think we should have a closer look at Sean, because I think that blah, blah, blah. And then, they tried me in a storyline. All my storylines were really quite long and protracted, and like year-long storylines. And as the writers have often said to me, I could carry a storyline. I could carry the audience, because I would vary how I would be giving the performance to the nation, instead of just keeping it all exactly the same, which happens quite a lot nowadays. But we had the time to rehearse, we had the time to dissect, we had the time to try it in one way, then another way, and to be very experimental, really. So they were fab years, really good years. And then of course, I guess those that remember me in Coronation Street will know what the storylines were. There's no need to go through.
When I don't watch Coronation Street now, but in the 80s and the 90s, I watched it religiously, for want of a better word. And you talked about some of those characters, and one of my I write a bit of comedy and stuff. I'm not great, but I do it for fun. But one of the characters you mentioned before, to this day, I think is probably the greatest character, was Jean Alexander as Hilda Ogden. What was she like, Sean? Just share a bit of her with us, would you, please?
So the real Jean was a lovely, gentle, well-spoken, just a lovely lady. And you do hear that said quite a lot, especially by actors who have to say that everybody's lovely all the time, whether they are or not. But Jean was she was the blueprint for that kind. She came from repertory theatre, and she appreciated the fact that she was at Granada TV. She never once got carried away with herself. Being Hilda Ogden, I mean, she could have, there are actresses that could have took advantage of that situation. But Jean was just one of the rank and file in the green room, worked hard, loved snooker.
Yes, I've read that, yeah.
Yeah, so Jean and I would sit there watching snooker, and me, being mischievous as ever, would say, I bet your favourite Steve and Tristan Davis? And she'd be like, yes, he is actually. He is my favourite. And I said, well, you want to stick with Jimmy White? He's the man for the future. So we'd get stuck into some banter, and we'd sit there drinking coffee and chatting on and watching the snooker all afternoon. It was great. And getting paid for it.
Yeah. And as an actress, Sean, she was good, wasn't she?
Well, she was a hard worker. She would enter the studio not needing a script, because she would know exactly what she was doing, and this was watched very keenly by yours truly, and very much that's the way I run my acting performances, and I guess sometimes that kind of approach can be a little bit unnerving for the other actors who may have only just learned their scene that morning, and to go and work with somebody who maybe learnt this scene like maybe 2-3 weeks ago and has been up hill and down dale with it and decided they're going to do it in this particular way because you're in a big storyline, and of course you have the audience to guide through the storyline. It can be a little bit daunting for the other actors, but that's exactly what Jean used to do, and that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, I
think it's very important that for me that I can enter the studio and now is the time to do this scene. I'm ready for it, and I don't want to leave the studio thinking, oh, why didn't I do that? In the car or on the way home, brainwave, oh God, why didn't I do that? That never really happened, and it was because of the stature that Jean Alexander would hold, and Julie Goodyear, God, so regimented in what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, that you could do nothing but learn on those.
No,
in that kind of company.
Yeah, and recently, I mean, the show in those days was so rich with characters. I mean, you could whittle them off. Alf Roberts, Ivy Tilsley, Ray. Like, what Johnny Briggs? As we record this, he passed away just a few days ago. Any fond memories of Johnny Briggs, Sean?
Oh yeah, lots of memories of Johnny. Because we had like a corner of the green room that would be popular for maybe 10 of us. And Johnny would drop in every now and again after he'd been out at lunchtime, and we'd have a bit of a giggle. And he was always fun, and he was always the one to give out like money advice, to the younger people, because I had nobody guiding me, financially. Parents weren't. My parents weren't any guidance whatsoever. And you feel, God, what am I going to do with this money now? And so I get we'd have the odd chat financially about things, and which I guess was like, was it fatherly? Was it grandfatherly?
Yeah, Sean.
But one or the other.
Sean, I'm sure you know the privilege of being in Corrie, but I remember as a young guy going with my wife to the Granada Studios tour, and to this day, I've done lots of things in my life, but the excitement I had in my body as I went through these sets, through Downing Street and the place with the big furniture and stuff.
Oh, that was, what was that called? I can't remember.
But creeping ever closer to Coronation Street.
The Borrowers.
Yeah. Going on that tour, knowing at the end of it, I was going to be stood on the cobbles. It was such a thrill for me. And I remember when we went, Bev Callard was there just signing autographs. And I've never witnessed such love and adulation to somebody as I witnessed then. And when you look back now on that experience, how do you feel about it? Is it with a deep sense of love and nostalgia?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I really enjoyed my years down there. And really, they only came to an end because we had a producer come in, and there were a succession of producers who were trying to use Coronation Street to become bigger producers later. which became a bit of a problem, I think, to the writers and the actors alike. I hope you catch my drift there a little bit. And so he wanted my character to have a relationship with an underage girl, and I just had to have a powwow meeting with him to explain to him that I will not be doing that storyline. And he said, "But I think you'll find that you will be doing that storyline." So, well, the rest is history. I just decided that I was going to leave. So that was the only distasteful part of it, and I guess everyone's leaving of that kind of iconic show will be different. But my character was kind of there, and it was explained to me that my character was there to kind of help Coronation Street go from the 2 to 3 episodes a week, and black and white. They were in colour when I was there, but it needed to update itself, and they were using my character who had the ability to have still one foot in the past, which was doffing a cap to the older style of Coronation Street, and respectfully, but then to obviously have one foot in the future as well, and to try and slowly guide the viewer into maybe a newer Coronation Street, which will then pass over the millennium into the 2000s, and that's exactly what my character was employed to do, and I think that's exactly what I did. So they're proud moments, you know. It's Coronation Street, and I was allowed to be one of the people that guided it forward.
Yeah, Sean, when you left, was there any sense of grief or bereavement? Did you? What was it like waking up in the morning thinking, I'm not going down to the Granada studios anymore?
Well, there was a frustration of me being cornered into the silliest of silly ideas in silly land on silly bank holiday Monday. So there was frustration there, of course. But I had been sat in the green room because I had to be there nearly 7 days a week for 10 years that I knew. I've been one of the busiest characters down there, and you end up sitting in the green room, big windows, and I would go uptown, and I'd start cooking. I'd start buying cookbooks and start cooking at home to relax, and oh God, I became really quite interested in food, and then the science of food, and got to know some really good chefs, and I'd spent some time with some chefs, and we'd get into such foodie talk, and I was really getting involved. And that is, leaving Coronation Street gave me the opportunity to present a show on Radio Lancashire for Ted Robbins, who had to take a week off, maybe for some filming commitment somewhere, I can't remember. And I was introduced to a Lancashire cheesemaker who I was interviewing. His name was Bob, and I'd met Bob before somewhere else. I can't remember where it was now. And Bob and I had a lovely, you can imagine what kind of chat we had about Lancashire, and tell me about Lancashire cheeses, where they come from, where they, what, can we pinpoint where Lancashire cheese actually came from? We had a lovely, good, long conversation about it. And he said, you should come to the dairy. I said, Bob, I'm coming to your dairy, whether you invite me or not. I'm coming because I'm so interested from the science point of view. Anyway, long story short, went to see Bob, and he taught me how to, over time, to make a crumbly Lancashire cheese. And then we moved on to the other, more creamier style of Lancashire cheeses. And under his auspices, I entered the British Cheese Awards and won the best crumbly cheese in the country. So he was clearly teaching me very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I absolutely loved it. And Bob's not with us anymore. His leukemia he had as a child decided that he was going to revisit, and so maybe about 8-10 years ago now, Bob left us. But so when I left Coronation Street, this is a long answer, I had things that I wanted to do, and I wasn't in that green room held there 7 days a week anymore. I had the opportunity My phone seems to have gone a little bit darker. I had the opportunity to open that door, open that window, and go and meet some people and see what I can do in that kind of environment. So I went to work at Northcote Manor.
Yeah, near me, not far from here.
Yeah, in sunny Burnley.
Well, it's on the edge, posh end, Ribble Valley, but you know.
Langho. Is it Langho?
It is Langho, yeah. We'll call it near Burnley, eh?
Right, okay. So yeah, Nigel Howarth, the chef, the proprietor there, we used to meet each other at different events, and he said to me, so little birdie tells me you live in Coronation Street. Yes, I am. He said, well, we talk about food all the time. Yeah. What have you been doing lately? Told him. He said, right, we'll come and work at our place. So I said, what? He said, come over to our place. So I had to. I had to take that opportunity. And I met Lisa there, of course, his chef, and we got on famously. Enjoyed myself. It taught me that actually all the studying I've been doing at home and research and actual hands-on experience, kind of self-taught, I guess, was going very well because I fitted in really well. I was very versatile, of course, because there's only you at home, so you've got to learn how to make a souffle, and then you've got to learn how to joint a grouse, and so I was very versatile. And then I re-met Bob again because he supplied his cheeses to Northcote Manor, and that's that. A new snowball starts to form, and that's exactly what happened. That's how I started my Lancashire cheese career.
Yeah. And that evolved into the business that it is now, and you're in supermarkets all over the place. Like.
Well, no, I have been in a few supermarkets. I'm in Morrison's at the moment with my creamy Lancashire. Not every Morrison's. I hasten to add before you dive down to your Morrison's. There's a selection of northern Morrison's. We're just working hard now in the office trying to put together a couple of things for online sales. One of them, hopefully, if things go well, with Amazon Prime, which will be a good opportunity for my brand and a great opportunity for people to taste proper Lancashire cheese. The best cheese on toast there is to mankind, I'll add, by the way, Alex, which you already know, of course.
Of course, yes, I've got the full range in the fridge as we speak.
Oh, it does make the best cheese on toast, and that's kind of why it was originated.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't feeding themselves grouse back then, were they?
No.
Back in 1190, it was a completely different world that needed two things, I would guess: food and faith.
Absolutely. Great combination.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Yeah.
So
judging by your fridge.
So let me ask, where with the cheese and the art, where does that leave the acting? Is that something that you've put to bed, or is it something you're open-minded about? Where are you up to with the acting?
It's not something I want to put to bed. So where I'm up to at the moment is let's take COVID out of it, because nobody's working through COVID. Apart from the soap operas, of course, and even the dramas are finding it difficult to film, of course. But that aside, I have been offered quite a few theatre tours and things, but at such a small rate of recompense that it's barely worth doing it. And as I have a company to fall back on, I don't really need to do that kind of work for such a small wage, basically. So I don't need to do that. The TV, I don't know if there's a reluctance with TV casting directors that my character was so embedded with Coronation Street that there is a reluctance, but there's a reluctance somewhere, which frustrates me, because I travel with an audience. You know, I had my own TV series in 2012, the Great Northern Cookbook, where I travelled around the north, and on Channel 5, we attracted 1.2 million viewers every week, it's a really good figure for Channel 5.
Yeah.
You know, and so I do travel with an audience, but there still seems to be a bit of a reluctance. So I don't give up. I have my agent, and we do explore avenues, and we're exploring some cheese books at the moment with publishers. Whether they come off or not is down to the publishers, but really good proposals coming together. So yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up the proverbial, Sean, but you don't really look much different. You're still looking great. So I guess you're still you are. I know you are. You're still very famous, even though you've been out of Corrie. It must be quite tricky going anywhere.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, of course, being down in Essex, I'm never far away from the tube. We're only 45 minutes away from London Bridge, so I'm often in London and on the tube, and it's amazing. People come over and we know you. It's like, oh wow, you do cheese, don't you, as well now? But so it works on both fronts.
I said to my mum, she just rang before actually. She said, "Oh, you'll get some good guests." I said, "Yeah, I'm about to interview Sean Wilson." You know, and with the greatest respect, when it's Martin from. Oh yeah, he does cheeses now.
That's what she said. See.
So you are famous for a number of things. Do you enjoy being spotted, or is it a bit of a pain?
You know what, Alex? I don't even think about it. I've grown up with it, so it's part of my life.
Yeah.
You know, from being 18, that's the way it's been. And I've always said to people, and they say, "Oh, you must get sick of people coming over." And I say, "Listen, I tend to reflect the person in front of me, and if people are nice, which most people are, that approach me, then I'm more than happy to spend a little bit of time with them, you know, and to cheer their day up, and they cheer my day up too, you know." So yes, that's the way that I approach it.
Yeah. Sean, it's been lovely chatting to you. It's been lovely hearing about the influence of the Methodist Church and how it's come full circle. And I'm really glad that everything's well. And I have one.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord, brother. I just have one final question. And now Lango's, you know, reflecting upon Lango, I think some of my Blackburn friends are going to say, "That's definitely not Burnley, mate. That is Blackburn." So my final question is, have you actually been to Burnley?
Yes, I've been to Burnley. I went to a football match at Burnley. Manchester United were playing Burnley, and I arrived at the game as a guest. So we went to the guest entrance, and I was wearing like a nice suit jacket and some trousers accordingly, but a t-shirt underneath, like a black t-shirt, and a very gravelly Burnley accent said to me, "Where's your tie?" So I said, "I beg your pardon." He said, "Can't come up these stairs without a tie." So I said, "Well, I'm wearing a t-shirt. Even if you were to supply me with a tie, I'm wearing a t-shirt. If I were aware of it, then I would have worn a tie." "No, you got to wear a tie." So my lasting memory of Burnley is him approaching me with the most awful brown patterned like Uncle Jerry would wear, and he made me put it on above my t-shirt.
Love it.
So that's my lasting memory of Burnley. Oh no, and then I did the Dancing on Ice back in 2006 or something. I was the first one ever on the ice.
Right, yeah.
And we did all our training down in Burnley at the skaterdrome, whatever it's called, the ice drome. Yeah, where everyone talks like that. No, everything's a question.
I didn't know we had.
Am I right?
I didn't know we had an ice drum, but I love your story.
Oh no, that's Blackburn. Sorry.
Goodness. Oh, you got him.
Why?
What's he on about? Ice rink in Burnley. What's he on about?
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. Why is it a swear word? Blackburn in Burnley.
Well, it is to some people, not me.
All right. Okay. Not you. No.
Sean, it's been a real pleasure. I'm so grateful for your time, and it's been lovely taking a trip down memory lane with you. And and we'll look out for you wherever you are, whether it's a country fair selling the cheese or in a play or on the telly, wherever it is will be. We send our love from Burnley, Sean.
Yeah, and also the love is well received, and thanks for asking, Alex. It's really nice to be able to be so open, with no repercussions of, oh, you said this and you said that. It's just nice to be able to relax with you.
I'm off to sell this to the Daily Star now, so thanks, brother.
Well, I'll stand by everything I said.
God bless.
Thanks ever so much, and yourself. Thank you, Alex.
Bye.
Bye-bye.